My name's Anthony Burrill. I'm from Anthony Burrill. I'm a graphic artist, printmaker, illustrator. I'm giving my top tips for leaving college, really, and starting to work in the real world. I'm giving the talk tonight because I'd quite like to deconstruct the idea that you need to know lots when you leave college. I didn't know very much, and I think I learned more after I left college. Just kind of come into stuff like this and exhibitions and openings, you'll kind of start seeing the same people, and you may end up collaborating or working with people. I think I've met lots of people socially that have ended up, we've turned into working on jobs together. So yeah, it's super valuable. Just don't get too drunk. I thought I was playing the O2, so I've got this massive light show planned. But so anyway, just imagine that. So yeah, I feel really awful. So yeah, I should be in bed really. But I'm a trooper, and I think that's one of the key things about me is that I just carry on going, and I don't stop really. So that's me on the left, and my sister on the right. So I'm happily grasping a glass of red wine and looking directly into the future, all you people, because I knew that whatever 40 years later I'd be in this room speaking to you lot tonight. Oh yeah, there's a horse as well. So a few years after that picture was taken, I started to get into records and kind of music and the whole thing really. I suppose that was kind of visual culture for me. I was interested in art. I loved like David Hockney and Peter Blake and people like that. So I was, and my art teacher at school, Mr. Colin Cliff, said, "Oh, you should try doing a foundation course." So I enrolled at Oldham College of Technology, and I did a foundation course in and kind of found out that I was really interested in graphic design. So I applied to go to Preston to do graphics because I visited there and was impressed by all the buildings and young ladies who were there, obviously. So I kind of I thought that'd be brilliant. I love it there. I can be a graphic designer and it's all neat and tidy. But I didn't get in. So I had to go to my second choice, which was Leeds Polytechnic. And I think that's one of the first things that happened that kind of sort of decided my future, really. I think if I'd gone to Preston, I would have probably ended up being a graphic designer, working in the northwest of England, designing brochures for local businesses. But instead I went to Leeds and discovered this whole other life. I think Leeds was much more of an art college. There was fine art there, printmaking, furniture, all that stuff. So I started making work like this. It's really just a complete mess. So yeah, I'll just go back to this. So all we had to make the work was a photocopier. So I used to photocopy things out of books and kind of play around. And everybody else was doing kind of massive paintings and sculptures and kind of printmaking. And I was always, the last thing I wanted to do was graphic design. I hated graphic design. And I was kind of not really interested in typography or anything like that, really. The last thing I wanted to do was get a job as a graphic designer. So to kind of extend this fun time that I was having, my tutor at the time, John Ross, who's another big influence in my career, he said you should apply to Royal College down in London. I went, all right. So I kind of came down to London with everybody's portfolios. I was voted the person to come down with all the portfolios, and I was the only person who got an interview. So the word went around college that I ditched everybody else's portfolios, which might be true. So I ended up going to the glamorous Royal College of Art in London. So I started there in 1989, Yeah, I'm almost as old as Lawrence Segan. So yeah, I'd spent the summer in Ibiza as a kind of warm-up, and I grew my hair. So yeah, I've still got that same look in my eyes, that kind of far away, but I think that was more to do with acid house. So yeah. So this is the kind of stuff I was making. So obviously, it was a massive leap from the work I was doing at Leeds. I was kind of, I thought, oh yeah, I'll just carry on doing photocopying, because everyone at Leeds loved that and thought it was really cool. So I was kind of making all this stuff. Let's go back to the studio. So yeah, this was the studio. As you'll see, there are no computers. Nobody used a computer. It was, you know, it's from the space age, and it wasn't cool. I think that was a crucial thing, was that if you did work on a computer, it would look all pixely and bitmapped and awful. And at the time, everyone was more into sort of textures and kind of handmade things. So this is the kind of stuff I was doing, kind of just making, kind of finding things and kind of grabbing stuff. And I had weird obsessions with flying saucers and horses, and I was kind of making really confused work. And obviously the tutors thought it was rubbish. Margaret Calvert described my work as wallpaper, which is, I think, quite not wallpaper in a good way either. Wallpaper in just like, it doesn't mean anything, it's just stuff. I was like, all right, thanks for that insight, Margaret. So I've got a problem with authority figures, obviously. I kind of like to do my own thing. I don't like to be told what to do by anyone. And I just sort of carried on making work. I think at the time, all the other students, there was a kind of generation of designers, I suppose. I was in the same year as Matthias Augustiniak from MM Paris. In the year above, it was GTF, Johnny Barnbrook, and then the year below it was Fuel. So it's this kind of, so I always like to kind of lump myself in with that kind of group of people. That it's kind of, we're all making work that was still analog, but then kind of taking all this kind of new information that was kind of coming along, really. So I started to look at typography again, something that I'd kind of resisted in the past because it was too neat, but then I realised you could kind of look at kind of stencil typefaces and bits of letterpress. So I started doing letterpress with Alan Kitching, who was another kind of big influence. So stuff like this. That's a picture of my sister. And that's my mum and my sister in a car. So I was kind of doing stuff like this, and it was like, well, what does it mean? It doesn't mean anything. It kind of, what's the commercial application? There isn't one, that's the point. So I was slightly worried about what was going to happen when I left. So I started making these kind of little photocopy books. They were my concession to producing something that people could sort of look at and kind of work out what I was doing. So I started working more with like bits of text and little phrases and things. And you can see how the fog is disappearing, and I'm slowly working out what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. So this stuff was just after I left from college. So this is the other key influence in my life. My wife, Emma, on the left. There's no horse in this picture, so sorry about that. This is we got married in Las Vegas in 1996, and I think yeah, that's right. 1896. Las Vegas hadn't been built. So yeah, my hair's getting slightly shorter. It's creeping. So Emma, when we left college, she was straight into working commercially. She was very successful, kind of doing book jackets and advertising campaigns and stuff. And meanwhile, I was going down the photocopy shop, enlarging something by 10%. If I'd done like 3 photocopies in a day, that was a big success for me in those days. And I was kind of thinking, well, why am I not getting all these like big advertising campaigns? The reason was obvious. So anyway, I kind of carried on really, and I was on the verge of maybe getting a job at one point, but I've soon disappeared. We had like Prince's Trust and Enterprise Allowance and stuff like that we could kind of claim. So you could kind of carry on being a student after you left college. So I made these little photocopy books, and I sent one to this guy called Eric Kessels, who was an art director, and he'd been working on a project with Emma, and he needed some typography for some ads. So Emma said, oh, I know somebody who could do that for you. So we met, and we made this campaign together for the Hans Brinker budget hotel. So it's just let you enjoy that for a moment while I have a sip. Hans Brinker is the most awful hostel in Amsterdam. It still exists to this day. So we made this campaign about it being awful, and it suddenly became this kind of cult destination for intrepid students. So it was. So then this started to get lots of press in like in those days was like Creative Review, Direction, and a couple of other kind of trade magazines. So to get something in Creative Review was like you'd hit base camp, you're on your way. And working with Eric, it wasn't like having a job. It was like he got me to do it because of what I did, which was enlarging things by 10% on the photocopier. And he was like, well, just do something with it. So I kind of did all this stuff, sent it all back, and he was like, yeah, that looks great, and print it. So we printed all these posters, and it didn't feel like a job, and it didn't feel like I'd compromised, and it was something that was, it was like, I could probably do more stuff like this, and then actually not have to be on enterprise allowance anymore, and I can, sort of afford to pay rent and stuff. So that kind of carried on, and it launched me into the world of advertising. So that was, I suppose, like mid-90s, and then for about 10 years after that I worked mainly in advertising and kind of doing campaigns and TV commercials and all that kind of stuff. I had a couple of agents, and I was working as an illustrator, as a typographer, designer. And I'm not going to show you any of that work because none of it kind of means anything to me. It was just a means to an end. It was kind of like I was kind of working and doing this stuff, and there was a moment when I kind of thought, oh, this is kind of turning into a job now. I'm just kind of doing the same old ads. It's like, I went to the Royal College of Art. I wanted to be an artist. I don't want to do adverts for washing powder. So I spoke to my agent and I said, that washing powder campaign, well, that's the last one I'm going to do. And then after that, I'm not going to do any more. And it kind of took a while to kind of extract myself from all that stuff and to kind of take that leap of faith, really, that I could kind of carry on and sort of make my own stuff and not have to kind of work in those kind of commercial terms anymore. So, and my wife was very supportive, and it was kind of, well, if you've got your kind of team around you, then you can kind of do anything really. So around that time we moved out of London and we moved down to Rye, and it was almost like a kind of amazing coincidence that this thing happened. So I found out this letterpress printers. That's me being amazed by letterpress and ink, and it was kind of it was everything that was fantastic about being at college, that I had access to all this stuff, all this type and ink, and Ian and Derek, the guys that run it, are just fantastic. So it's kind of like being back at college where I had access to this sort of resource, so I could start making things again by hand. Sorry. So this is the first poster I did, and it went on to become my best known piece of work. And I've just kind of made it because it was kind of something I'd overheard, and I thought it'd be nice to make it into a poster. And that was in 2004, and it's kind of since then it's gone on and turned into this other thing, like a kind of thing, really. And people buy it, so we can make money out of it. It's quite incredible that you can kind of do your own stuff and make your own work, and because of the nature of the communication world that we live in now, you can get your work out there and seen. It's like I've got tons of followers on Instagram, and you can post something and instantly you kind of get feedback. So yeah, if I post something and it doesn't get enough likes, obviously I delete it. I can't imagine anybody else does that. But it's like you think, all right, come on, where are the likes? And you kind of, it's a fantastic way of kind of gauging people's response to stuff. And it's all this stuff that is super simple, and it's kind of, it kind of comes from me, comes from the heart, and it's all stuff that I kind of believe in. And I think, people talk about authenticity and kind of truth, and I think that's where you want to get to in your work. You don't want to have a job and work for somebody that, you're not really into. And I think, it's like people have said tonight, there's nothing wrong with kind of thinking, well, that's not for me. It's like you kind of, it's your life, and you can kind of, you can sort of, you can go to the North Pole if you want to, and kind of just completely change things. And it's kind of just sort of taking control of your own thing, really. So yeah. So then, I kind of do things that are kind of, it's almost like the kind of side projects I used to do have kind of turned into the thing I do now. And when I do commercial projects, they kind of feed into the kind of more self-initiated and collaborative projects I do. So this is printing a poster with oil from the Gulf of Mexico spill. And this is a project I did this summer, and I think it's like this kind of feels like being an artist and kind of making work that's kind of doing something that is kind of ridiculous and stupid, but it kind of turns out into something that, quite interesting. So we've got sound on this video coming up. So yeah, persistence is fruitful. You know, if you kind of stick at things and just, you kind of know in your heart of hearts what you're doing is the right thing for you, and you know, just by seeking those things out and kind of, you know, continually kind of keeping the pressure up and keeping the pressure on yourself to succeed, and kind of seeing what all your peers are up to, and you know, not thinking, well, you know, I can't do that because of this. It's like, just get on with things and just continually make things, and there you go. That's it.